business. Something I forgot to mention was in trigonometry, when there's an angle that we care about, we give it a special name. And that special name is a Greek letter. And that Greek letter is theta. And it is this symbol. It's a circle with a line through it. There's a lot of different ways to draw it, but the easiest way is to do a circle and put a line through it. That just means the angle about which you are concerned. Now, obviously, there's 3 angles in a triangle, but since we only care about this one, that's theta. When you go on and do other shapes that have more than 3 angles, we use Greek letters to show all the angles. So maybe there would be a beta angle, or an alpha angle, okay? Or an omega angle. All right? But theta is all we are going to deal with. I don't know. So, delta is a triangle. It's just stuff I know. Oh, I don't know. All right, everybody cool? Yes. Okay, so in this triangle, there's an angle I care about. So my theta is x, because that's the angle I want. Everybody cool? You didn't know theta, but you could have just said angle equaled x, right? Now, once you have that angle of x, that means that you, or me, or whoever, is right there. Which means that is where I find my opposites and adjacents. What is opposite to me?
23 over 15.
23. What is this one?
This is
Adjacent is 15. And we know that tan equals opposite over adjacent. Now, did I know my angle? No. So is it shift tan or tan? Shift tan, just like we did right above here. So I set it up. Tan of x equals 23 over 15. Now, because I didn't know the angle, I have to do shift tan of 23 over 15 to get x. And to do that on your calculator is whatever you wrote literally right above the work. You were supposed to write that down like I asked you to. Now, if I were to walk around and look at how many people actually wrote that down, I would see a bunch of blank papers. Because I didn't say I would see all blank papers. I said I would see a bunch of blank papers because a great many of you seem to feel that you will miraculously know how to work your calculator without actually thinking about it or practicing. I don't know why you think that, but you do. When you punch that in, you get an angle of
57 degrees.
57 degrees. Now, the next one I asked you to do was this one. Again, now you have a new word that you didn't have before. And it's my fault, I forgot to give it to you. Do you have a theta?
No.
An angle about which you care?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 15 degrees. Right?
We care about the x, though.
But there's an angle that you care about. So the angle is 15 degrees.
Yes.
Once you have that set up, that means you are right there looking at the triangle, yes?
Yeah.
Which makes this x what?
The top of the fraction.
Opposite
Okay.
x. And that makes the 37 what? Adjacent. 37. And then you just have to fill it in. Tan of your angle. What's your angle? 15 equals opposite x over 37. Now, isn't tan 15 just a decimal that your calculator knows, right? So it's the exact same as if I told you this. 2 equals x divided by 37. How would you get rid of that 37? You'd multiply. So how do you get rid of that 37? But you don't multiply it by 2. What are you multiplying it by?
37.
Tan 15. 37 tan 15 gets me x. And when you do that on your calculator, depending on how your calculator works, you get x equals 9.9. Now notice I didn't come around and check. Why? Because I wanted to see what would happen if you did this on your own. I see a bunch of people writing, so either you're correcting or you didn't bother to do it and you're fixing it up now. I don't care about that. The whole point was to see if you could take the information that I gave you and apply it on your own. That's why I only gave you 3 questions, because if you couldn't do it, now you're learning how, right? These are like these peanut butter discs of awesomeness that are Mexican. No.
Oh.
You're supposed to put all in your mouth and try not to break it when you unwrap it and put it in your mouth.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then it makes the mouth really, really dry. Like if you do the cinnamon challenge, and now there is no spit in my mouth at all. Yeah. Diego, you know these things, huh? Oh, I know, right?
Why are they good if they dry your mouth?
They're delicious. But they dry your mouth out. But you're supposed to the whole thing, right, Diego? See? No.
Where do you get them then?
Ew, please stop. Ew, no.
Oh my god. I don't watch your videos because I don't need to, so.
Carlos brought me them. A grade 11 kid who just went to Mexico.
I'm leaving a dislike on the video.
How many do you have left?
Damn it!
I told you I'd fill your water.
I thought it was still full.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
No, I'm good. I had coffee. What?
Why people make the word pen?
He's not going to put his mouth on.
I'm sorry, Dan. There's a water conversation going on. What?
Like, where did the word pen come from?
Oh,
How did they make it?
I don't know.
Tangent.
It's short for tangent.
Tangerine.
I don't know what. I don't know. I wasn't around
Yeah, it's based off.
5,000 years ago when they invented trigonometry.
That's a
Okay, so like,
All right. So,
how many do you have left though?
That's it.
You said when you run out.
I am out. There were only 2. But he brought them back for me.
You won the other day.
I know.
You saved them.
Unlike teenagers, I have self-control. When Carlos brought them to me, I did not go like Cookie Monster. I ate 1. And then the next day, I ate 1.
If it was good, I would not be waiting.
I know that, but that's because you're a teenager and I'm a grown-up.
My mom should.
I have willpower. Except for the salty snacks.
What are they called?
I don't know what they're called. Ask Diego.
Salty snacks. So like.
They're called
Salted.
De La Rosa Mazapan Original. El Original Dulce de Cacahuate desde 1950. Peanut candy.
It's peanut butter.
Yeah.
I want it.
Times are tough all over. Now,
Can I order them online?
I bet you could. I bet they probably have them at the Pan Asia Market right over there across from City Hall. Because they have all kinds of Mexican stuff there. Now, in this question, do I have a theta?
Yes.
What is it?
7.
70. Now that I have theta, that means I am at that angle looking at the triangle. What does that make 14? My opposite. 14. What does that make x? My adjacent, x. And then I set it up. Tan of 70 equals 14 over x. Now, when x was on the top, we multiplied 37 times 14. So what are we going to do when x is on the bottom?
Divide.
Divide. 14 divided by tan 70.
Why not 1070 divided by 14?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Ariana, because let's turn this into a question that has no tan in it, okay? So 2 equals 14 over x. How will you solve that? You already know the answer is 7. How will you solve that? 2 equals 14 over x. You multiply by x, and they cancel. Now I have 14. What do I have to do on this side? Multiply by x. So now I have 2x, right? Now how do you get rid of the 2? divide by 2, divide by 2. X equals 7, correct? Now, the last step you did was 14 divided by 2. So you just brought it down there, right?
What if someone didn't know that?
Well, then someone should know how to do algebra.
Then they would do the X thing though.
But no, if they didn't know that little trick, then they, of course, would have used algebra and done exactly what I did. Multiplied by x, divide by 2, and x would equal 7. But instead of 2, it's tan 70. So, tan 70 equaled 14 over x. Multiply both sides by x. Cancel, cancel.
What would it be?
X tan 70 equals 14. X equals divide by tan 70. Divide by tan 70.
Okay, well, what if I did? do
And it's
tan-
5.1. Thank you.
What if I did tan 70 divided by 14 then?
Then
it
you
be
would
the
get.
wrong decimal?
No, it would be a ludicrously wrong answer. How can this distance be 0.19? What? I'm sorry, what? Yes, that's what the little red light means. All right. Did you just say gracias? De nada. No
Does that mean
water.
you're welcome?
No, de nada means it's nothing. No, it's cool. I'm good. I got coffee still. Thank you. I don't actually know what, because in Spanish-speaking countries they say de nada. They don't say you're welcome.
Arigato.
At least I don't think so. Do they, Diego? You say de nada, yeah? See?
But does it have a meaning?
Yeah, it's nothing. De nada. It's nothing. In
Oh,
French,
it's
if
no-
you say
like it's
merci,
fine, no
I say de rien. Nothing.
No, it's not.
It's nothing.
It's no problem. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What do you say in German? If I say bitte, what do you say? No, bitte is please. If I say danke, what do you say? You say bitte. When I say danke, you say please? Really? That's interesting to know. Would you offer me something?
Would you like the Empire State Building?
Thank you. Then you would say please. Because please in German is bitte. So you would say,
Backwards.
do you want the Empire State Building? I would say, bitte. You would give me the Empire State Building. I would say danke. And then you would say, please. Interesting.
Oh, so like, please,
Yeah.
no worries.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Interesting. See how much we learn in this class?
This is like all classes in one.
I know, right? I've taught in schools where I teach the entire curriculum to one classroom.
So like,
No, to the whole grade.
Yeah, I don't want to go to class and do
All right.
Okay.
Now,
this is easy.
ladies and gentlemen, listen please. Listen please.
Easy.
Listen please.
Easy.
Math has always been the same thing from the first day Mrs. Bagcrumble said, there's 3 apples in this pile, and there are 2 apples in this pile. How many apples do we have? 5 apples. And that very first lesson of math has been built upon and scaffolded and grown to an entire wealth of knowledge that you have in your head about math. Now, you're scared of math. I don't know why, because you know so much math, it's shocking how much you actually know. But for some reason, it still scares you. I am trying to break you of that by showing you that you know so much stuff. And stuff you know will get you somewhere that you didn't know before. Okay? Okay. So, now you know that if you have one angle and one leg of a triangle, you can find the other leg of the triangle, can't you? And if you have 2 legs of a triangle, you can find the hypotenuse of a triangle, can't you? And if you have 2 angles in a triangle, you can find the third angle in a triangle. You know all of that already. The reason math scares you is we ask you to put all that together. But really that is no different than asking you to walk to the mall
And also grab.
and buy 3 or 4 things when you get there.
Or like say go to this.
Right? So, let us have a look at this question, knowing what we already know. Do I have an angle about which I care?
Yes.
Yes.
30.
Now you have a new name for that angle. What is it? Theta. Theta equals 30, which means,
Cross is X.
stop it.
Sorry. that little. You should draw me with my curly hair now. Curly hair all over the place.
No, those aren't angles. Those are sides. Now,
Now you do 30.
since I am here and this is theta, what does that become?
X is opposite.
Opposite is
24
x.
is adjacent.
And what is this?
24 is adjacent.
Adjacent equals 24.
And then you put up the fraction. And
So then I set up my work.
you do 10.
The tan of what?
30.
30 equals, you're all seeing the cross of the t disappearing, right? It's not just
Yeah.
me.
It's x over 24. 9 times.
And you
10.
all know how to solve this, don't you? Because you all know algebra from grade 7. How do you solve this?
10, 30. times
Multiply by 24, because you have to get rid of this divided by 24. So 24 tan 30, I'm losing the t again,
13.8.
equals x,
13.8.
which is, when you go to your calculator, it's a big yucky number.
13.8.
It's 13.86, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So it's really 13.9.
No, it was 13.7 before and I rounded up.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's 13.74? 8.5. That's
So
what I
rounded
thought.
up.
No, 8.5. Yeah, you 8.5, you round up to 13.9. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
13.8. Okay.
Well, no, it's time to frisbee this thing out the window, but that will get me in trouble. So,
Would you get fired for that?
Just claim it on Austin, and then Austin gets in trouble, and then you'll be fine.
okay.
Is that a piece of plastic you're playing with?
Yes, it's a little baggy. All right. Now, when you punch this into your calculator, you're going to get a long line of decimals, yes? You don't want to write out all those decimals, so you're all going to round it off to 13.9, right? Now, once you know this is 13.9, do you now know that side of the triangle? Do you now know that side of the triangle? Can you then find the third side of a triangle?
Yes.
How?
You square root.
Da, 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 da.
You do Pythagoras.
You do Pythagoras. Now, Pythagoras says you're going to square that, right? But that's not really the distance of x, is it?
He's got a square root on.
Well, because the distance of x is 24 tan. Oh, son of a fudge. 24 tan 30 is really that, isn't it? Big, ugly number. Now, I wrote 13.9, but this is the real number, isn't it? So I know I have to square that, right? It's already sitting on my calculator, correct? Because I have planned out what I'm going to do before I go to my calculator. So I know I got to square that. So I'm just going to go ahead and square it. Answer, the last answer I got, squared, correct? Then I need to add that to what?
24 squared.
24 squared, right? Then I'm going to get an answer. Now, what do I need to do with that answer?
Square root it.
Square root that answer. So on my calculator, square root.
Do we have to do that though and keep the whole
No,
decimal?
you don't,
Okay.
but I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
27.7. So y equals the square root of 13.9 squared plus 24 squared, and it equaled 27.7. Now, the reason I showed you what I showed you is because this is the best possible answer. If I was trying to send a rocket ship to Pluto, I don't want to round this to 13.9, do I? No, because it isn't really 13.9. Does everybody understand? Now, for math class, is it okay to mark that at 13.9? Because what do I care about? The process. Because when you know the process, it doesn't matter what the numbers are. You can use any numbers to solve your problems. Okay? All right. So now, knowing what you know, you guys try these three.
What if you already did them?
Then you get to relax and feel superior.
I'm just kidding.
Are you allowed to move?
Yes. But it should only take 3 minutes max a question, so this should take 9 minutes. Max it should take. Okay. Once I am sitting there, what does the 35 become? Opposite. And what does the 50 become? Now, since I need an angle, is it shift tan or tan? Shift tan of 35 over 50 will get me x. Now, listen carefully, please. Many times I have told you that the way to know if you have done a question right or wrong is if the answer makes sense, yes? Because all of you believe your calculator. Now, in trig, you're believing your calculator a whole crap ton more than usual, yes? So when you do this, you're going to get a number. And the number you get is, I believe, 35. 34.99, right? Everybody cool? Now, let's stop for a moment. That means that this angle here is 35, yes? Right? Now, if I had this triangle that was 45 and 90, that makes this 45 automatically, doesn't it? So if these are both the same, that means these sides have to both be the same, correct? So if that was 50, this would be 50. Everybody agree? Now, 35 is a little bit less than 45, which means this side needs to be a little bit less than 50. Is it? 35 and 50, they're pretty close. So I know I did it right. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because if your calculator gave you some other number there, you have to think about it. Oh, it can't be that, so I'm not going to write that down. Does everybody understand? Okay, let's do the next one. Somebody choose a color. Do I have a theta? What is it? 60. That means this handsome little fella is right there now. What does that make x? Opposite equals x. What does that make that? Adjacent is 7. Tan of 60 equals opposite x over adjacent, 7. What do I do?
Times it by 7 and 60 by 7. And that's 12 plus 1.
Now, stop for a moment. Is it really 12.1 or is it really 12.1 blah? 12.1 blah, right? Now, to do this question properly, I now need to do some Pythagoras, don't I? And I need to do 12.1 squared. But it's not 12.1, it's 12.1 blah, right? Is my calculator sitting there minding its own business with 12.1 blah on it? Of course it is, because you have done 7 tan 60 and gotten that. Ariana, I'm going to tell you again for the second time because you asked me this exact question the last time I showed you this. No, you do not have to, okay? But when I do the work and I get an answer that is 1 or 2 decimal places different from you, you need to know why that is happening so you don't flip out, okay? Because you do flip out if I give an answer that is 1 or 2 decimal places different from you because you think that you have the wrong answer then, even though you don't. Do you understand what I am saying? Okay. Now, I know that in Pythagoras, I need to square this. But I know it ain't 12.1. So I am going to go ahead and square it when it's on my calculator. I'm going to add 7 squared to get that. Then I'm going to square root my answer. I always use the answer key. And I get that answer to be 14. Now, listen please, and I stopped because I saw you, if you use 12.1, you do not get 14. You get 13.97. Is that 14? Yes. Well, right? Technically it isn't, right? If I were trying to build something exactly precise and I use 12.1, this triangle wouldn't quite meet up, would it? There'd be a little hole there.
So you're saying it makes sense to use the whole decimal.
You should if you are comfortable with it. But again, what is more important? 13.97, 14, or this?
How you got there.
Right. Now, technically, what I do with these is I know this is x, yes? So I only go to my calculator once. I know I need the square root of x squared. So that's 7 tan 60 all squared plus 7 squared. I have been doing this so long, I can enter all of that in my calculator in one go. You guys can't. Yet. But, if you wrote it out like that, does that show me you understand trig? Of course it does. Even if you can't punch that into your calculator, that shows me an incredibly high level of understanding, doesn't it? Everybody cool? All right. So, let's come over to this guy. I believe Hannah requested pink. Theta is what? 80. So that means this handsome looking fella is going to walk over here. Ooh, a slide. I'm going to climb up it like a dick. I hate people that climb up slides, especially when there's a lineup at the top and people want to come down and nobody parents the kid that's climbing up the slide, right? The kid's mom is watching it climb up the slide while there's a lineup to slide down. And she's just like, oh, he's just playing. My kid's at the top of the slide waiting to slide down. You know what I say? Slide. And then the kid gets mad at me. The mom gets mad. Why you tell your kid to slide? Because my kid's using the slide right. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, move it along. No, I'm not scary. I'm just refuse to allow it. When something is cute when a kid is 3, it's not cute when they're 13. So what that parent is telling that kid was, there's a certain way we go about doing things at a slide. You climb up the ladder, you slide down it, right? But you're climbing up the slide while there are people waiting to slide down. So what that parent is telling that kid is, it's all right to ignore the social contract, right? That's exactly the lesson that kid is taking. I can do whatever I want whenever I want. So what happens when that kid is 20 and decides he doesn't like you, Hannah? He walks up to you and punches you in the nose because he can do whatever he wants. Or in our current milieu, which back to math. That was my little social studies move. We're back at math now. What is that? O equals 10. What is that? A equals X. Set it up. Tan 80 equals 10 over X. The X is on the bottom, so X equals 10 divided by tan 80. Now, when you get that answer, you get it to be 5.1, yes? Now, let's think about this for a sec. No, it's 1 point. Sorry, it's 1.8. Sorry. 1.8. Now, let's stop and think about it for a sec. You've done a lot of work with your calculator. Can you prove if you're right? Well, let's think. If this is 80, that makes this 10, yes? Which means it hasn't gone up very far, has it? So for this to be only 1.8, that makes good sense, doesn't it? Because I've only gone up 10 degrees. Everybody cool? In this question, I went 30 degrees. right? So it made sense that this side was about 13 because I went a longer way. Everybody cool? All right. Now, your job is to learn one thing from me, and then I'm going to set you free on some work. Everybody on page 56, draw somewhere about an inch below angles in the real world, draw an eye. It doesn't have to be a pretty eye, just draw an eye. I, of course, am drawing a brown eye because I have brown eyes. Unless you listen to my wife, who insists my eyes are hazel, but I think she's only saying that. Hazel is a greenish brown. Who insists my eyes are hazel, but I think she's only saying that because I've always been like, oh, I have boring brown eyes, and my wife has beautiful blue eyes. And no, it's true. Both my kids have crazy, weird colored eyes. Like, yeah. People meet my son, and they're like, the first thing they say about, wow, his eyes. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's weird. They're really, really weird. All right. Now, if there is nothing for me to look at all, then where does my eye go? It goes, good call. It goes straight forward. Everybody cool? If there's nothing interesting to look at, then you're not going to make any effort to move your eyes, right? So your eye is going to look straight horizontally. Everybody with me? All right. Now, I'm outside and I'm walking along minding my business. And I hear up in the sky. What is it? A plane. And what does every red-blooded kid do when they see a plane in the sky? Plane! What does every red-blooded 43-year-old do when he hears a plane? Plane! What does every 90-year-old in 37 years going to do when he sees or hears a plane in the sky? Plane! Okay? So, a plane comes along and is flying along. Yes? Where does my eye go? It looks up at the plane. What have I just made? An angle. This angle has a special name. This blue theta here, because it's the angle I care about, that theta is what we call an angle of elevation or an angle of inclination, because my eyes have inclined upwards. It is the space between horizontal and up, for lack of a better word. Is everybody cool? So let's pretend that Marette is actually Spider-Woman. Right now, I am looking at Marette, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's Marette, big deal, she's there every day. But then Marette says, oh, watch this, and climbs the wall. Where do my eyes go? Up. The original line was right at Marette, then she climbed up, and I made this, which is where my face is an angle of inclination. Everybody cool? All right. Everybody understands this, yes? Okay, now, the plane flies away. And now, no, it can't. I know. So now, the plane is gone. Where do my eyes go? Back to the black line, yes? As I am walking along, I see on the ground a $20 bill. Where does my eye go? Down. What did I just make? Another angle. What is that green theta? An angle of depression or an angle of declination, because my eyes have declined. It is the space between horizontal and down, for lack of a better word. Is everybody cool? Whether you've written it down or not, are you comfortable with the concept? Now, don't draw what I'm about to draw. Just pay attention. I'm going to bring the plane back. Okay. On the plane, it's green now. On the plane, in one of the windows, window to the plane, is Diego. Right? Diego is flying in the plane, and he looks down and sees a very boring brown-eyed dude. Where have Diego's eyes gone? Down. Where did Diego's eyes start? Along the path of the plane. Right? So my angle of inclination is what to Diego? His angle of depression. And they are going to be equal. The mistake you people are going to make in this is you're going to say, the question is, say, what's the angle of depression from the plane? And you're going to draw this triangle and you're going to say it's in here. But it can't be, can it? Because angles of inclination and declination are between the horizontal. So it can't be here. But it makes sense that my up meets Diego's down at the same angle. Is everybody cool? All right. Now, you'll notice I've left a whole blank page there, right? There's more there, but we're going to come back to that later. Your job today is to attempt page 57. Now, this is the first textbook page I have photocopied for you. The answers are right there. Can I mark this? No, because you have the answers. You all got 100%. Yay! Can I come around and check that it was done? Yes. Everybody understand the difference? Okay. You are going to have trouble, but you are going to be able to do 11. It will be troublesome, and you will have trouble with 20. 19 will be yikes. But you have the tools you need to do it. If you can't, tomorrow when I say, hey, did anybody have any problems with 57? And you didn't do 19, what will you do tomorrow? You will say, Mr. Myers, can you show us 19? If none of you say that, what is the only assumption I can make? That you all get it and it's time to move on. Okay? Okay.